Period leave. The 7-member KDNC audit team was hard at work. The financial reports of Kriju have been overdue by more than a year now. The team leader, Dmitry, feels terribly short-staffed and fighting fire on all bases. But the client and KDNC team collectively agreed that they would let this discussion not go into October. The 30th of September was the final day when they would wrap up all reports, no matter what. Being a high-profile company, media and investor pressure had been building for these reports. Every day's delay meant that the regulators would doubt the auditor more and more. On the morning of the 30th of September, Dmitry waited nervously for Sophia to show up. She was the second in command after him, and there were a lot of details that only she knew. At around 1130 a.m., he got a message from Sophia. "Dmitry, I'm terribly sorry, but I'm facing the worst cramps ever. I'd have to opt for a period leave today." Dmitry stared at his phone blankly for several minutes. A part of him wanted to smash his phone on the floor, but his hands were tied. Just a few months ago, the CEO, Igor Ivanov of KDNC, had published a long post on LinkedIn about how committed his company was to making it a great place to work for women. He had mentioned that the pandemic had made him even more sensitive to the disparity of responsibilities of women at home and how they affect their work life as well. The post had gone viral and got some media coverage too. Dmitry had frowned on reading the post because, being the CEO, Igor himself didn't directly work with any women, as there were no women in KDNC's leadership team. Dmitry himself wanted to be supportive of Sophia's situation, but he felt as if she might be misusing the period leave by using it on the most hectic and stressful days. She had taken another leave just 20 days back, which also made him wonder about the authenticity of the cramps claim. But these were things which could never be brought up. Forget about verifying them. He had read somewhere that there were companies which required female employees to maintain a log of their periods. There had been adequate debate about whether this was too invasive for a place of work or a necessity. But there was no way that Dmitry could suggest such a thing and open a Pandora's box at KDNC. Without Sophia, it was unfathomable to finish the report on the 30th of September. And Dmitry knew that the moment he would break the news to the rest of the team, their morale will nosedive as well. His teammate Alexei had been quite vocal about his opposition to the period leave policy. Alexei had argued that this would mean women would work one day lesser than him every month. That's around 4% lesser work. Would this reflect in their salaries? He also asked that if a male employee revealed in the job interview that he won't be able one day every month, he would either not get the job or would get lesser pay, Justin said. Even Ekterina, who was herself eligible for these leaves, had silently opposed them by telling the whole team that she would never avail one. Her claim was that such policies affect the employability of women and lead to fewer people willing to hire them. If we wanted women to be equals in the workforce, we needed such policies to be dismissed, she had said over a team lunch.
Sophia was 12 years old when she experienced her first period. She thought she was dying. There was blood all over her school's washroom floor, but that was not what scared her. She really thought that some creature had entered her uterus and was eating her up from inside. She could barely sit, and she wanted to let out a wail in pain. In her early 20s, she was diagnosed with a terrible case of PCOD. Her pain did not lessen over time, and she would count the days on the calendar with dread. One of her biggest fears in life was that her periods will ruin all the important days for her. She had the most painful cramps on the day of her IIT entrance exam, and she couldn't clear it because of the same. No matter how hard she tried to focus, her body would just not let her. When she joined KDNC, it was always on her mind that she wanted to discuss the idea of period leave with Igor, the CEO of the company. Igor was initially horrified at even the thought of it. Sophia had submitted a memo with proper points to convince him. Some of the points on the memo were: men and women were biologically different. If women's bodies were cursed by monthly pains, it was the workplace's duty to adapt to the same. Some audit reports could not take precedence over someone's extreme discomfort. In terms of financial impact, the greatest investment a company can make is employee satisfaction. When a woman knows that the company cares about her, she more than makes up for her absence for a day every month. In places like Japan, one of the most efficient countries of the world, Female employees have been getting period leaves for more than 70 years now. A similar example was followed in South Korea as well. After a long discussion with her, Igor agreed to form the policy. Tens of women in the company had thanked her for the same. On the 30th of September, as KDNC reports neared a closure, Sophia wanted to wrap up the project within the deadline. But that morning, she woke up with the worst pain she had in several months. There was no way she could function. With a heavy heart, she messaged Dmitry that she could not make it. This study brings up the following questions to ponder. 1. The period leave did not affect Igor directly as he did not have women in his team. Should he have consulted with his colleagues before making such policies to know their effect? 2. Period leave and maternity leave are usually paid leaves that are available only for women. Should a company make leaves for personal reasons paid ones? 3. How badly do such paid leaves affect the company? Is Sophia right in stating that the employee satisfaction would make up for the 4% loss? 4. Is period leave unfair on those who do not menstruate? If so, should the benefit be removed for that very reason? What is the alternative? 5. Period leave is not a norm today. From a management perspective, why is period leave a bad idea? 6. Is the requirement of logging period dates truly an invasion of privacy, or is it necessary to ensure correct use of the benefit? Is there any other way to prevent misuse? Feel free to discuss in the comment section below.